Oh, just, I'm sorry.
Oh, you like Wagner?
No, I like Elmer Fudd. Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill...
My parents were both poets, so I don't really get it.
Welcome, very interesting monsters, to Geek Salad episode 202. There's Baloney in our slacks.
Slacks.
Damn it, you missed it.
It's hard to do over Skype.
It is. So, yeah. So tonight we are... Oh, by the way, I forgot the introductions. I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
I'm Joe.
I'm the Warner sister, Katherine.
And
Also
tonight we decided on a lark. And we decided on a lark tonight that just for fun, we're going to run around the Warner movie lot as we discuss the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes animated series which the word series is kind of weird with this, especially when you're talking about most of what comprises Warner Brothers animation when it comes to the Looney Tunes, because it's all shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that went on before movies.
Right. Exactly. So let me ask everybody a question. When it comes to stuff, and we're just going to stick primarily with like the 1930 going on into the 50s and 60s Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner type of cartoons. How did you consume those? Where was the first time that you really kind of like sat down and watched? We're just gonna call them Bugs Bunny cartoons because it's just the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
For me, it was afternoon syndication.
Oh, yep. Where they had the old ones, like
the
real,
like,
1940s. Where Elmer Fudd looked like a jelly bean.
Yeah,
there was original Elmer Fudd who was like human sized. The original Elmer Fudd that I remember, like from the really old cartoons, was actually much taller than Bugs and Daffy.
Yeah, but he was like the Elmer Fudd of the Saturday morning cartoon era. That's I think the best way we can delineate those. Elmer Fudd wasn't he had like a regular sized body but this enormous bald head.
Yeah.
Whereas he was, pretty portly in the like the syndicated, the afternoon UHF stuff.
Yeah.
There was like what we think of as Elmer Fudd, and then there was like the old Elmer Fudd.
The original Elmer Fudd.
Like the first time he appeared ever.
So, and that's like he's the most distinctive. But I also remember like Porky Pig kind of looked different as well.
Yeah, when Porky was first around, he looked a lot different than we got used to him.
Yeah,
right.
Porky, even Daffy.
Oh, Daffy
to a certain extent.
Oh,
it's almost like when Fritz Freleng and Chuck Jones took over. They made them more anthropomorphic, if that makes sense. Like they always stood on 2 feet. They all always stood on 2 feet, but for some reason, like just their forms, they were more anthropomorphized in those 50s and 60s cartoons than they were in the earlier.
Yeah, they got rounder and cuter. They started out a lot more elongated.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, very similar to like when you look back to the original, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck.
Oh yeah,
they look nothing like what they do now.
Yeah, I mean, mid 30s, you can really say that the definitive look of the Looney Tunes characters is really from the 50s on.
Yeah.
It's, very much the same way that the definitive Walt Disney cartoons, Mickey Mouse, their definitive look was defined in the 50s, and it's carried on since.
Yes. I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. So let's move on to some social media feedback. This time we actually thought ahead and we asked one simple question. Who is your favorite ancillary character? So not one of like the big heavy hitters like a Bugs Bunny or a Daffy Duck or even a Porky Pig or an Elmer Fudd. I want like the side characters, the guest stars. And on Twitter, we had quite a bit of really great feedback here. The Effin' Nerds podcast mentioned Henry Hawk always cracked me up. He was a chicken hawk, gonna find a chicken.
What's the big idea? Don't stand there gawking, son. Speak up. Why hit me on the noggin? Speak up. Now, I say cut that out. What's it all about, boy? Elucidate.
I'm a chicken hawk, and you're my victim. Are you gonna come quiet, or do I have to muss you up?
That's a deep cut right there.
Yeah.
Well, no, simply because Henry Hawk really doesn't come up, in a lot of people's conversation. Usually, he's like a third tier character.
Right, but that's the thing, though, is that there were certain supporting characters or guest starring, I guess, is probably the best way you could do it, because the way that they treat the Looney Tunes characters were really like they were actors on a movie set that would just show up. They were, I think, more so even than the earlier Mickey Mouse cartoons, where they were actually they were put into situations, but because they would constantly break the fourth wall, they were actors playing a part, and that's kind of like, I feel like you can equivocate them to guest stars, like a Henry Hawk would be a guest star.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the thing is, Henry Hawk. When's the only time Henry Hawk ever showed up?
Foghorn Leghorn.
He was a Foghorn Leghorn villain.
Yeah, he was a Foghorn's foil.
Yeah. That's even a better word, because that's the thing, is like there's really no horrifically evil characters in these. There were a lot of foils.
He kept trying to eat Foghorn.
Yeah, and he's like the size of Foghorn's taint. I mean, he's itty bitty. So
he wasn't a threat. He wasn't a threat.
No,
to be
exactly.
fair, most of the time, Foghorn Leghorn was asking for it too.
I got some thoughts on Foghorn, but we'll go into him in a little bit. Triv Chick mentioned, love all the Duck Tracy villains. The whole episode is top tier in my book.
That's actually a good one. I'll give it credit for that one. She responded to me today on this one. I didn't get a chance to watch Duck Tracy, and it was like sitting there on my tablet, like, I gotta watch this. I just never got around to it. All right. Geek's Peak. The Geek Peak, rather, mentioned it's gotta be Pepe Le Pew.
She wants to play at the lover's chase. It is the little girl in her. C'est l'amour. Look, petite one, I am the lover chaser. Observe, I chase you.
The French lover of this. Yes, exactly. And the French lover of painted cats. And speaking of the Geek Peak podcast, they are our promo swap for this episode. So while we've got them on our minds, let's hear a little bit about the Geek Peak podcast.
Greetings, fellow geeks. I'm Chris Melvin, one of the hosts of the Geek Peak podcast, where we make it our mission to take you to the summit of pop culture with the best content recommendations from around the interwebs. Whether that's a new show you've slept on, your next favorite movie you're on the fence about seeing, a new track that jams, or what your next happy hour cocktail is going to be, the Geek Peak has you covered. Available on all of your favorite podcasting platforms.
Okay, so Pepe Le Pew. Does anybody... Now, let me ask, this. And I think I can ask all of you guys this: has anyone ever actually done like the kissing the arm up and down thing like Pepe used to do? And does that do anything for anyone?
Oh God, no! Please.
I can't speak French. I can't speak French, so
done the kissing people all over thing, but
usually a lot more sensual than the way Pepe Le Pew does it.
Oh, mon cher.
Well, it's funny because Pepe Le Pew is like really the embodiment of what Americans think French people are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of that, and also it was kind of a thing at the time. Like, we recently rewatched The Court Jester with Danny Kaye and Angela Lansbury and everybody, and the kissing up one arm across the neck and down the other arm was a thing that Danny Kaye did, and he like looks at her and goes, "Excuse me, but I want to go around again," and he goes like back the other way.
Well, honestly, I always saw that as more of a Gomez Adam thing.
Yeah, but I think
just
Pepe
a thing
came
at the
first,
time.
though.
It was probably a vaudeville thing first.
Yeah, probably.
And then, yeah.
Tish, you spoke French.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, they did some of that and Singing in the Rain. I think it was kind of vaudevillian, and they were just like, "We'll just keep it going because it's funny."
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Not,
because sexual assault is funny. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Different times. Different times.
It's like that. It's like that Dave Chappelle routine from his early funnier stand-up acts. It's like I went back and I watched Pepe Le Pew. I'm like, man, what kind of a rapist is Pepe? My nephew's just sitting there like, watch, Uncle, watch how he takes the pussy. Like, oh no, shit.
That's one way to say it.
Yeah. And then we also have JVD of Crossover Collision, the Villains on Demand Network, who brought up Marvin the Martian is the best and left me with a gift from one of Mike's favorites, Hairway to the Stars.
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
My Illudium 236 explosive space modulator.
Man, everybody can do that. Well, that is just a great impression for people.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's easy to impersonate, and two, he's the top tier. Well, he's the top of the second tier characters.
I agree. He was one of.
You go first.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead, Heather.
Well, I was just going to say that when we, every year when I go to the Sci-Fi Movie Marathon, which I believe is going to be virtual this year, which I'm kind of excited about because my husband will participate more. We always launch off at noon on Sunday of President's Day weekend with Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century. And it's just the same cartoon every year, and Marvin the Martian is there, and where they're trying to, they go to Planet X to get the stuff, and they have the space cadet, which is Porky, and it's one of the best ones ever, I think, and because I can watch it every year, and we all say all the lines together, and it's a lot of fun.
It's almost like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah,
I love Porky in that kind of role, like that role, and like the Robin Hood one.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he's right, because in most cartoons, Porky's like the fall guy.
Yeah,
he's basically the joke, and he's not in on the joke, but he's the joke that everybody points and laughs at. But in these shorts, he's in on the joke. Well, he's in on the joke.
Yeah, and he's the smartest one in the group.
He's right, exactly, and he gets to be the one to show how stupid Daffy is.
Yeah.
Well, it also reminds me too of. Do you ever see like the ones where the Porky and Sylvester cartoons, where
he owns Sylvester?
Yeah, where he owns Sylvester, but the thing is that they go to these haunted places, and Sylvester's going to spend the entire night making sure Porky doesn't get killed.
Yep.
And there was like that one where Porky was asleep, and there was like this axe or something that flew through the room,
and Sylvester caught it. And it's hanging right over Porky, and Porky wakes up. Sylvester.
Oh yeah. Poor Sylvester.
So we have a few more of the of these ancillary characters. The Midnight Myth podcast has got. I'm going with Witch Hazel, who is one of my personal favorites.
Let Mother scrub your back. Mother. Zsa-zsa.
There's so much about that character where every time like she has like her witch's cackle, she clicks her heels and she shoots off to the other side of the screen and she just leaves like a pile of hairpins.
The hairpins. Yes.
I showed my kids the Hansel and Gretel one this week, and it was finally like I've been trying very hard to get them into these because I didn't do my job earlier on in their life, so now I'm like trying to make up for it. And I showed them the Hansel and Gretel one, and they were dying because of Hansel and Gretel. Because they're just these two fat little German kids with these very pronounced German accents.
And pray, what are your names, my poor children? My name is Gretel. And my name is Hansel. Hansel? 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 Run for your dear little lives. She is a witch and means to eat you for her supper. Ach, und Himmel! Your mother rides a vacuum cleaner!
And
the thing is, they have these like completely cherubic eyes and just so cute looking and stuff like that.
Well, it's like she had them in that roasting pan, but she had all that ice cream there, and they're just like chowing down on it, and they've got like those big chocolate rings around their mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And it reminds me of I'm going back like 15 years now, but back before kids and everything, I used to join up with like Jim and Mike C and Bill, and we'd go to the mall and we'd do our Christmas shopping in like one night. We'd all get together, we'd grab some dinner, and then we'd go Christmas shopping. And I think this might have been pre-Sonia for Bill. So Bill's been with his girlfriend forever, but this might have been pre-Bill needs to buy stuff for other people. And so we all kind of split up, and Jim and I are looking for some stuff, and Mike had to go look for something. Bill went to the Ben and Jerry's, and he finally joins us because it's like, okay, meet back here when the mall closes. And Bill shows up. He'd gone to Ben and Jerry's, and I swear to God, I like looked at him and I just said, "You look like Hansel from the Bugs Bunny cartoons." Chocolate ice cream melting down his hand. This just gigantic smear of chocolate all over his face. I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah!"
I think that I've only got one Witch Hazel cartoon that stands out to me, and it's because I went to see the Wizard of Oz at the Boston Common.
Oh.
So you're there like watching it on the Boston Common with hundreds of people, and the way they do was they showed like Bugs Bunny versus Witch Hazel and like, a Wizard of Oz kind of situation. I can't remember exactly what the episode was. And they played that first, and then they played Wizard of Oz. And so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting it. It was like, that was an extra bonus. I was like, oh, hey, Bugs.
I love those. I really do love those. And we've got Pitney and Amelia's Boutique, who brought up, I think I love the monster the most. And I just learned this year that his name is Gossamer. The very interesting monster.
My stars, where did you ever get that awful hairdo? It doesn't become you at all. Here, for goodness sakes, let me fix it up. Look how stringy and messy it is. What a shame. Such an interesting monster, too. My stars, if an interesting monster can't have an interesting hairdo, then I don't know what things are coming to.
Gossamer is actually kind of a favorite for a lot of people. Mike, I believe Jonna is a big Gossamer fan.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love Gossamer. Gossamer's one of my favorites.
Gossamer's great. My husband loves Gossamer. I like Gossamer.
especially the ones where Bugs starts doing his hair.
Oh, his hair and his nail.
They start dishing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Gossamer doesn't say anything.
No, but it's Bugs doing like the typical hairstylist thing and just dishing on just anything.
Yeah.
Bugs being
Because Bugs just distracts. Yeah, he just distracts people and is like, I'm just gonna suck you into the situation where I'm gonna do your nails, and the monster's like, oh, I'm getting my nails done. I can't attack you now because we're in a nail salon all of a sudden.
And then over to Facebook, Jamie Shea actually had some fun with this. So he writes, so this got me reminiscing about the Chai Tears I remember, but I don't know. The kangaroo that was always mistaken for a large mouse.
Oh,
Hippity
yeah.
Hopper.
Oh, geez, that's
always,
obscure. That is obscure.
We always beat the crap out of Sylvester.
Yeah, exactly. Because his tail, he would always like grab him by the tail, and he was like slam him. You know, like it's always 3 times with the tail. The big hairy monster, Gossamer, the crows, Jose and Manuel, Witch Hazel. But when I start to type Looney Tunes, I search the first thing I popped up. Looney Tunes is Tweety a boy or a girl? Do we actually know what Tweety Bird is?
I don't think it's ever been established.
Ah,
how does Tweety identify?
That's a good question. He never actually mentions anything about that. You know what? The thing is, I think he might, and I'm referring to he, so I'm kind of giving away the plot here. But I think it might be Tweety Bird might be male, only because the Jekyll and Hyde episode, where he's hiding from Sylvester, and he goes into Hyde's serum, and he turns into this very large, I'm going to use the word masculine, creature. So
makes sense.
And then Jimmy also writes, if you were making these cartoons in 2020, instead of Pepe Le Pew, it would be Pepe, me too.
Good one. I like it.
Beaky Buzzard singing the Baby Bumblebee song. I seem to remember those being more like the UHF ones, though. Like, he showed up in a lot of the early cartoons. What do you guys think?
Not ringing a bell.
Nah, not really.
Okay.
Oh,
okay, yeah.
Oh, so like Warner Brothers version of Baby Huey.
Right. Oh, God, Baby Huey. Shauna writes, love Gossamer so much, especially when he's paired with Bugs Bunny. And goodness me, the Goofy Gophers were also a favorite. Indubitably.
Oh, there you are. I've been looking all over for you to tell you something. Oh, do tell. Please, do tell. Well, I found the perfect place to store our nuts. Marvelous. Yes, indeed. Simply marvelous. I hope you'll like it. Oh, I will. I know I will. You have impeccable taste. Oh, thank you.
Oh God, yeah. Well, you know what? The Goofy Gophers didn't get enough shorts. I think they were mostly like mostly on 50s TV though. Wasn't like, you know, when Warner Brothers was making that transition from animated film shorts to TV shorts.
Okay. So
I think that's when the Goofy Gophers kind of started making made their debut.
So, okay, we also have Cecil Turtle, who is one of the few existing characters who can put one over on Bugs. He even once co-opted Bugs' famous "Ain't I a stinker" line.
He was the tortoise and the hare turtle, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You fools! What are you doing? I'm the rabbit! The rabbit! Look! I'm the rabbit! Now he tells us.
And then there was the Sam Sheepdog.
I was hoping someone would bring up Sam and Ralph.
And Ralph Wolf. Actually, John put a really nice GIF on our. I think she responded to mine when I shared this out. But the work. Play it again, Sam Sheepdog, where it's just like the two sheepdogs are kind of crossing paths. One's punching out, one's punching in.
Yeah. That's what I was just picturing.
And Dave Bainbridge brings up a really interesting thing here. Did you know that Tuesday is the birthday of Carl W. Stalling, who wrote the Looney Tunes theme and scored many cartoons? He just learned that, and now so did we.
Learn something new every day.
Hey, who says you're too old to learn new stuff, right?
Right, exactly.
I have no idea who says that, but they're dumb.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk a little bit about some of the notable characters in Looney Tunes. Let's start with Bugs Bunny. What's everyone's thoughts on Bugs?
I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. Oh well, I'll just ask this jet into fancy knickerbockers. I beg your pardon me, sir, but could you direct me to the shortest route to the Coachella Valley of the Big Carrot Festival therein? What's up, Doc?
I mean, beyond being iconic, there's a certain point where he just kind of gets on your from my perspective, he kind of gets on your nerves.
Yeah.
Well, he constantly dominates.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Except when he doesn't.
But it's so rare. But it's so rare that he does. He doesn't.
Like,
I mean,
the episode where he fights that little gremlin.
Hey, that's my episode that I'm pointing out.
Oh, okay.
Way to spoil the entire show, Mike.
Yeah, Mike. Read the show notes, man.
And what's up, Doc?
But no, like Katherine,
you're right. It's
like Katherine says,
rare.
He dominates everything, and it's like every once in a while you want him to get his comeuppance.
Right. But for the most part,
go ahead.
For the most part, I can just Bugs being Bugs. Like if you don't watch it for hours, you can just enjoy watching him get it over on the people. At least the people and the creatures he's getting one over on earned it.
Right.
Yeah. So, Bugs is weird because it's like I enjoy a lot of what Bugs brings to the table when it comes to the cartoons. Yeah, you're right. He's always punching down, it feels like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he is the kind of the not going to say he's kind of like the hero. He's always kind of on top of his game. He's always kind of ahead of everyone else. It's fun to watch, but every now and then you're like, yeah, I can't really relate to this guy because he's always
winning.
Yeah, which is why a lot of people tend to drift more towards like Daffy, because Daffy's more
relatable.
Human.
He is more human. He's one of us. Daffy's the audience is basically what it comes down to.
Kind of like Mickey Mouse versus Donald Duck. Everyone loves Mickey, but everyone feels more like Donald.
Right.
Well, the problem with Mickey though is that he's too perfect in the sense that he's too nice. He always does the right thing and stuff like Bugs. Well, Bugs, he doesn't always do the right thing, but he gets off on his charm. He gets by on his charm.
He does the right thing for himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny is a trickster character.
Yeah.
Right. He's basically Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's Loki. He's like the coyote of some Native American legends.
Oh yeah.
He's a traditional trickster character. Brer Rabbit.
Yeah.
That's well put. So yeah, Daffy Duck then.
Okay, so I love Daffy. I think we're all saying that we can. A lot of us identify with Daffy.
Daffy's more relatable. He is like you said. He is the everyman character.
Here is the course we shall pursue to find Planet X. Starting from where we are, we go 33,600 turbo miles due up. Then west in an astro arc deviation to here.
Then, following the Great Circle, 7 radio loops south by down east. By Astrobo to here, here, and here. Then by Space Navigo Compass to here, and then to here, and here. By 13-point stratocumulus bearing 4 million light years, and thus to our destination. Now, do you know how to reach Planet X?
Oh, sure.
Well, I wish you'd explain it to me sometime, Buster.
And really, from like,
go for it.
Go ahead.
Especially in the later cartoons.
Yeah.
Like in the original ones, he was Daffy. Like he would just, he would do his thing and he'd just go woo 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 woo, and just bounce around and run off.
Right, exactly what I was about to bring up, actually.
Yeah, he was basically insane, is what it was.
Yeah.
He was deaf.
Yeah,
But
and then eventually
like you said,
became more kind of dastardly.
Not even dastardly. I don't think you could paint Daffy as a dastardly kind of character. He was just more like he was more the realist than Bugs was.
Mm.
Although in what was it like Rabbit season?
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Well, actually, I think they do that in a couple of them.
Oh, they do that. Yeah.
But
a running gag.
I watched one a few days ago, and he just starts the whole thing off because he just wants to mess things up. It's really duck season, but he wants to pretend it's rabbit season just to screw with Bugs.
Yeah.
And Bugs always just screws with him.
Yep.
I personally really I really enjoy those. I really, really do. I think that they are, especially Daffy Duck. Now, do you guys feel like there's a bit of a coincidence that both in Warner Brothers and Walt Disney that the duck tends to be like the everyman character who sometimes just can't win? Because I think Donald is the same way.
Oh well, it's no coincidence. I mean, they were copying, Walt and the folks over at Warner Brothers were copying off each other incessantly.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Who was invented first, though? I wonder. Looking that up.
You're looking that up right now. Yeah. I really want to say Donald. Donald might have been first.
Probably Donald.
The thing is that with Daffy, at least, while they gave him like the slight speech impediment, which they kind of copied for Sylvester years later.
Yeah.
Donald has his own distinct his own distinct voice. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Donald had 3 years on
him. With Donald. 3 years?
Yeah, 1934 for Donald and 1937 for Daffy.
Oh, and they did make fun of the speech impediment in Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
Because they were playing the dueling pianos. Yeah, I actually I have a Nintendo Game Boy, and my favorite game must be Duck Amuck. Is to Daffy so mad that he explodes, and then you win.
I love those. I really love a lot of those games. Those classic NES, just side-scrolling platform games. They're just stupid fun, and honestly, I think Looney Tunes did a better job than Disney did in those early days of NES platforming.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, this is for the handheld Game Boy, so it's got a lot of like different things, and they make fun of polygons. They make fun of like a whole bunch of different styles of games, and there's also like the thing with the Game Boy was that you like shut it and it's supposed to pause, but with Duck Amuck, if you don't turn it off and you just shut it, sometimes you'll suddenly hear Daffy go, "Open up, open up!" And it's him trying to capture Gossamer. He's like, "Okay." And then he like has you close it again, and it's like you try to go to the left. You hit the left button, you hit the right button.
It's awesome.
They don't make games like that anymore.
No. They don't. So let's take a look at some of these other characters here. We kind of mentioned Porky Pig already. Elmer Fudd. I've always been kind of ambivalent about Elmer Fudd, but give credit where credit is due. Elmer Fudd features in possibly one of the most famous
and dare I say, most influential Looney Tune cartoons of all time. What's Opera Dog?
Yeah.
What's Opera Dog? Yep, absolutely.
Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit.
Kill the wabbit?
Yo-ho-ho, 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 yo-ho.
O mighty warrior of great fighting stock, might I inquire to ask him, what's up, Doc?
It is a well-known fact established by real scientists that a lot of people in subsequent generations learned opera because of What's Opera Dog.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when I heard that, I'm like, no way. Yeah, knowing humanity the way I do now, yeah, that's totally a thing that happened.
Especially kids will latch onto it much earlier than they will to classic opera. They'll be like, and then they hear it there and they're like, oh, and they see it for real and they're like, this is great. I want to do this.
I think it's great too because that was another one that my kids kind of grafted onto because days after we watched it, it's just there. Just hear them kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit,
kill the wabbit
with my spear and magic helmets.
Spear and magic helmets.
Oh yeah, in our Scion campaign, I was playing a daughter of Athena, and I had a spear and magic helmet.
Yeah, you did.
The thing I liked about Elmer is that he was an antagonist, but he was never really a straight up villain.
Well, that's what I was saying. Is that they're more foils than they are villains. I mean,
In a couple of characters, we're gonna get to someone who I do count as a villain.
Okay.
Interesting. Oh, sorry. Interesting.
Interesting.
But yeah. Elmer Fudd's definitely not evil.
No,
he's a foil, and frankly, he's trying to hunt for rabbits, and he's constantly being messed up by he never wins.
Yeah,
right.
You can't hate him for being a hunter who never actually kills anything.
Yeah, he's not a very good hunter.
And every now and then, when Bugs makes him think that he did kill him, he always feels really horrible about it.
Yeah, he does.
And also, I mean, he shot himself so many times in the face too. That's
him and Daffy.
Oh my God! If I didn't know, I'm glad that my parents actually paid attention. Because I swear to God, if I was like 5 years old, watch a Daffy Duck cartoon, I probably would have walked up to a duck and slapped it in the face just to see if its beak would end up on the other side of its head.
And see if it would then fix its beak and they say, "You're despicable."
Or the other thing that they did with Daffy when he used to get shot in the face is that his bill would open up so the inside would just be like the rest of his face.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm amazed none of us have murdered anybody just based on these cartoons. Seriously.
Well, not that we've been caught anyway.
Yeah, exactly. We'd never gotten caught.
Yeah.
But some of the other characters that we have here, Roadrunner.
The next two are my favorites.
Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. When you break it down, it's the same episode again and again and again, but every single one of them is just a joy to watch.
Yes.
Well, it's a credit to the writers that they could come up with so many different ways for Wiley to screw things up.
Yeah.
And every now and then, Wile E. Coyote tries to go against Bugs Bunny as well.
Well, the thing is, it's like the Roadrunner himself doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
All he does is run. Yeah. Everything that happens is because Wile E. Coyote is so inept, and Acme puts out shit product for him.
Exactly.
That's not entirely true because Coyote will paint a tunnel. And the Roadrunner will run through the painted tunnel, and Coyote will try to chase after him and crash into it. That's the Roadrunner has superpowers.
But, to be fair, though,
are you saying the Roadrunner is the Antichrist?
No.
To be fair, though, those are really gorgeous paintings. I mean, credit where credit is due. He is a master painter.
But if you really want to get down to it, though, why didn't he just take all that money that he was spending for Acme products and just buy some food?
Because that's not the Coyote way.
I mean, he's probably the only reason that Acme is even
was he spending money, or was he just using promo code after promo code, creating new email accounts, getting the free first try?
Or he's up to his eyeballs in debt to Acme.
Exactly.
I mean, to be fair, though, he is Wile E. Coyote, super genius.
Didn't he have a card that?
Whenever he met up with Bugs Bunny, you always hand him a card saying Wile E. Coyote, super genius.
Well,
there was a cartoon or two where he actually spoke, and he goes,
that's what I'm gonna say.
Super genius.
Yeah, it was the ones when he was with Bugs Bunny, because he never spoke in the Roadrunner ones.
Yeah.
For good reason. I actually like the ones where neither of them say anything. I think that's where the brilliance lay with those, is that it's pure gags. It's just pure physical gags.
Yeah, the only words
signs was okay.
Yeah, the only words were a sign saying "yipe."
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and that was why they were sometimes on the Electric Company, was because you had to read.
Yeah. One of the gags in one of the episodes we watched that just destroyed me was Wiley put a thing of bird seed like in the center of a bridge, like an over bridge, put a circle around it. The Roadrunner stopped, and while he was pecking at the bird seed, he was sawing underneath the bridge. And then the second he finally finished the circle, the entire bridge collapsed, just leaving like that one little platform. It destroyed me. I was laughing so hard. And I am nearly 50 years old, and I am just like, I can't believe how funny that is.
Well, it's just like I said, it's just sight gags. It's not it's not word, it's not the Bugs Bunny word play. It's not, it's just a good old sight gag. It doesn't really take much effort to think about.
There's actually a Super Nintendo game based on Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner where you play the Roadrunner having to constantly get away from Wile E. Coyote, and it was ridiculously hard. Far harder than it should have been.
Well, that just flies in the face of all the logic of every Roadrunner cartoon ever, then.
Exactly.
That makes no sense.
None.
But, no, as far as I'm aware, and, correct me if I'm wrong, and dear audience, correct me if I'm wrong on this.
They will.
But, I'm sure they will. Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote essentially are creations of those 50s and 60s Fritz Fröhling and Chuck Jones cartoons. They never, I don't believe they ever appeared in earlier iterations.
I don't think so.
I want to say the same thing with Sylvester. I think I've seen Tweety in older cartoons before. I don't ever remember seeing Sylvester. I think those three characters are pure, like, Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner show type of characters.
I don't know, but that sounds right.
Just looked it up. They were created for Warner Brothers in 1948 by Chuck Jones.
Okay.
Well, so they would have been theatrical release back then.
Yeah. But they were part of that era, though. They weren't part of the earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
So
they were late blooming,
Yeah, the UHF era of Looney Tunes.
Right.
All right. So next up on this list of heavy hitters here, we've got Yosemite Sam.
Yosemite Sam.
I know.
Great horny toads. A trespasser. Getting footy prints all over my desert. Yeah, mule. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa, camel. Whoa, 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 camel. Whoa. Oh, come on, whoa. When I say whoa, I mean whoa.
This is the character that I would actually consider as a villain.
He actually wears a mask.
Yeah.
It's underneath the heavy eyebrows and the hat, but he actually wears a bandit's mask. So yes, Mike, I agree with you. Yeah. Look very carefully. Now we all, if you're not familiar with Yosemite Sam, he's the one that shows up on like mud flaps on 18-wheelers. Yeah, exactly. Back off, varmint.
He's also in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'm burning my biscuits. My biscuits are burning.
that part always makes me laugh.
Yeah. Great horny toads. That's smart. The one thing about Yosemite Sam that I will always take away is when he got angry, he would fire both of his pistols into the ground, and it would raise him off the floor like 3 feet.
Okay, well, usually they were still in his belt when he was doing it.
That's true. That's true. They were. But he was good because you couldn't have Elmer Fudd always be the foil. So having Yosemite Sam,
right,
was perfect.
Especially when it was an Old West setting.
Oh yeah.
Right, when you have Bugs in the saloon.
Exactly. We went on our YouTube channel. We were talking about like we each watched like an episode of one of the Looney Tunes cartoons that's on HBO Max, and the one I watched, actually, they could have used Yosemite Sam for this, but they didn't. Was Bowery Bunny, where they had Bugs Bunny in like the mid 19th century Brooklyn, and an Irish guy, and then shenanigans ensue, and that could have very well been. He could have very well been a stand-in for Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, I mean, if it had been like into the Old West, then it probably would have been Yosemite Sam.
True. And then we've got Tweety Bird and Sylvester.
Now come on, Sylvester. This is Christmas, you know. Kiss the little birdie. Come on, Sylvester. Kiss the little birdie. Got it! Let him go! Got him! You bad old putty cat!
Out of all of the Looney Tunes cartoons, these guys are probably my least favorite.
I love Sylvester just because I have Sylvester's my middle name.
Oh, okay.
And I love cats.
So you're the JSA.
Yeah. I think that Sylvester is a more interesting character than Tweety Bird, only because they were able to integrate him into other cartoons. I mentioned earlier, like the Porky Pig and Sylvester horror shorts that they used to have.
Yep.
But if I take away anything from Tweety Bird and Sylvester, it's that I always thought that if you had if anybody ever dumped alum into your mouth, your head would shrink. Or your mouth would go concave.
Yep.
I think the Looney Tunes cartoons are also the ones that really gave me a deep-seated fear of castor oil, and that was going to be a much larger problem in my life than it turned out being.
What was it, that gangster baby? The one short with the gangster baby?
Oh, yes.
They gave him castor oil, and he just like turned all these different shades before he puked.
Actually, that alum gag, that also they also used that in Three Stooges short.
Did they?
Yes, and all of their mouth just puckered up.
Oh, we have like a little thing of McCormick alum in my spice cabinet. I'm not gonna like just shake it in my mouth like. And while I do that, have like that constant Looney Tunes music, that bump 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 bump, while I'm like shaking it in my mouth. I won't do that. I promise. Not this time, at least. But there's also the one too, with Bugs Bunny antagonizing that opera singer, and he gave him alum, and his head shrunk completely up while he was singing.
That was a fun one.
Yeah. So, are there any other characters that we can think of? I remember there was, and these are more ancillary characters, but like Spike and Chester.
Oh yeah.
Well, one that's always surprised me that became as big as he is, considering he wasn't in that many shorts, was the Tasmanian Devil.
Tasmanian. Here it is. A strong, murderous beast. Jaws as powerful as a steel trap. Has ravenous appetite. Eats tigers, lions, elephants, buffaloes, donkeys, giraffes, octopuses, rhinoceroses, mooses, ducks.
Rabbits.
Rabbits? It doesn't say rabbits here. What's up, Doc?
Oh my God. Taz was the very definition of a breakout 90s Looney Tunes character. I know he showed
He's got a TV series.
Tasmania or whatever it was.
Yeah, I remember that.
Tasmania, come to Tasmania.
We always used to think that he might have been a little bit on the spectrum, though, just based on, like everybody in his family was normal, except for Taz, where he's just like,
yep.
And everybody else talked, in full sentences.
You couldn't have a whole series where everyone talked like Taz, so they were like, well, Taz talks like Taz the way he always has, but everybody else has to speak English, so the audience gets the joke.
I remember being very disappointed when I saw what a real Tasmanian devil looked like, though.
It looked nothing like Taz.
Well, this is bullshit. Stupid Chuck Jones.
They actually used the Tasmanian devil in Space Quest 2, actually.
Oh, really?
The PC game, yeah.
Oh, God.
He's on an alien planet. He just bursts through a rock, and you have to throw a Rubik's Cube to him to try to confuse him enough to get by him.
So now, what are some of your favorite shorts? We kind of been mentioning them throughout.
Actually, well, first, you mentioned that you had thoughts on Foghorn Leghorn.
Oh yes, Foghorn Leghorn. Okay, so if ever there was a red state voter in all the Looney Tunes, I say, I don't understand why they might go into our bathrooms. I say, it's just sorry. Foghorn Leghorn is one of those characters that he. I don't ever like saying this because I really don't think that we are as afraid to offend as we'd like to think that we are. But I really do think that Foghorn Leghorn could never be made today. Out of all of these characters, I just really think someone would be like, hey, what if we have a giant rooster, but he's an old Southern gentleman?
Yeah, they'd be like, you're attacking, somebody would feel attacked. Somebody from the South would feel attacked.
And that's not to say either that
they would. It would have to be created by them because they would own that.
Right. I was just going to say that. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
I always got the feeling that he was a male gigolo because he'd always kind of like being romancing those old chicken, that old hen. He was way too old for him.
He was a treasure hunter. He was just looking for old ladies. He was just one of those like soldiers of old fortune.
Yeah, what's the male version of a gold digger?
Gold digger.
Yeah.
But I really feel that like somewhere deep in like the annals of Foghorn Leghorn cartoons, they did something super racist that can never ever see the light of day.
Oh, they did.
Ever.
Oh, yeah.
They did.
He's the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
This is. I'm sure Warner Brothers has their version of the song of the South somewhere involved.
I believe that. Oh God, what was it? Coal Black and the Seven Dwarves, or something like that. There is a Warner Brothers cartoon that is essentially it had to have been erased from existence with Thanos' snap because it was that racist. That it has to exist.
Yeah.
And I know that because Todd had mentioned this about some of the DVDs when they first started releasing the Warner Bros. Stuff on DVDs, that Warner freaking owned up to everything. They're like, they would have a little disclaimer saying, this
is problematic.
Kids, sit down. We have to have a talk about this. Kind of like how HBO Max does things now. Like going back and watching Blazing Saddles on HBO, and it's like, okay, listen, the racists are all the bad guys in this movie.
If it's not obvious.
Yes. If it wasn't patently obvious to you,
this movie wouldn't be made today because people don't want to see westerns. Enjoy the movie, folks. It's Mel Brooks. He's a genius. So,
speaking of, when you mentioned that Warner Bros. Releasing the DVDs, I'm surprised at how kind of lax Warner Brothers was about protecting their copyright as compared to Disney. Because a lot of
Joe, I want you to go back and say those exact same words slowly this time, because the logic, the bounds of logic with that, Disney has always had like this, just this lockbox on their stuff. Whereas Warner's, this was just stuff to be made to make money.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is like a lot of early Warner stuff is now public domain.
Yeah.
Whereas good luck trying to get the one of the first silly symphonies to be public domain or anything like that.
Oh, the Alice shorts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's like it wasn't until the 50s that Warner Bros. Decided, oh, you know what? Maybe we should take better care of our copyright.
It's a very good point.
Yeah, and also, the Warner Brothers, the Merrie Melodies and the Looney Tunes was just like a thing to show before a real movie that they were actually getting, really working on the money for.
Right. Well, no, you make a good point, Katherine, because really when we think about it, and this is something we always discuss when it comes to like DC, is like Warner Brothers is first and foremost a movie company, a film company.
Yeah.
Where with Disney, everything grew out of the animation. For Warner Brothers, the animation was, well, we need to do something to compete with Disney and put in front of our movies. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and that's why there are so few full-length, like Looney Tunes movies, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Which is kind of surprising. We figured if Warner Brothers saw the success of like Snow White and stuff like that, you would have figured they'd be like, oh, we got to do something like exactly this. We got to do the same thing. But
at the same time, Disney was like going with completely different characters, whereas Warner Brothers was solidly, Bugs and Daffy, and that was right. They would have had to draw completely different characters and have completely different storylines, and instead they were like, and also there was also something to be said for, a joke only has to be so long. If you
what I'm saying is, I'm surprised that Warner Bros. didn't decide after seeing the success of Snow White as a feature film, animated feature film, why Warner Bros. Didn't jump. They didn't have to make a feature film Bugs Bunny movie, but decide, hey, maybe we take another property and make a feature film out of that. Like a Robin Hood or something like that.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Warner Brothers Animation, like you said, is a wing of Warner Brothers Pictures. Yeah. They don't have a stalwart like Walt Disney, who was an innovator. They had Jack Warner, who was all about the bottom line. So if it was cheaper for them to pump out 18 cartoon shorts over one full-length movie, he would have done that. And that's, right. I think, why Warner Brothers, especially, look at some of the movies that came out in like the 70s and 80s that were Bugs Bunny movies. The Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck movie is a collection,
right,
of shorts. Like the first like 3 or 4 Looney Tunes movies are just collections with like a very thin story tied in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just going back and rewatching some of these guys, I remembered them being longer than they were, because these guys are only like 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 minutes at max. I mean, I thought they were like 10, 15, but nope, not really.
Yep. But that's the thing, though. It's a testament to how good they are, though, because just going back and watching a couple of these over the course of the last week, really getting just, they bring back happy memories of childhood, even though, I mean, they're all, about slapping somebody's face in rhythm with the music. Slap, 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 slap. Yeah, exactly. And just like most of my knowledge of old-timey movies started from Bugs Bunny cartoons. I didn't know who James Cagney was or Peter Lorre was unless I had Looney Tunes, unless I had Bugs Bunny cartoons. The creator of Gossamer is Peter Lorre.
Huh.
Is he?
Yeah.
Nice.
Really?
And I'm going to create him, and he's going to smash everybody.
And I mean, how many Bugs Bunny shorts was Bugs Bunny going up against Little Caesar?
Right.
I had never even heard of that character before.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that I'm amazed it took us 202 episodes to actually talk about this. Mike, great job, saying, hey, we haven't done these yet.
Yeah, thank you.
So, yes, thank you. So,
and also why, we're talking about why didn't they jump on the cartoon bandwagon? Well, they did Casablanca. Why would Warner Brothers?
Right.
We should do an 80-minute cartoon, or we could do an 80-minute classic.
Well,
yeah,
at the time they didn't know it was classic, but no. But
I mean, they did do Carrot Blanca.
But no, I bet like Andy says, Jack Warner for Jack Warner it was all about the bottom line.
Yeah.
So they probably looked. I mean, I don't want to say. Well, they probably did. They probably looked down on the animation department. It's like, oh, okay, you guys are doing basically comic strips. Yay, okay,
right.
Good for you. Go make me my 10 cents, okay?
Well, think about it this way. Think about The Simpsons, and think about the creators of Itchy and Scratchy. That why can't I think of the head of the Itchy and Scratchy?
Oh,
anime. Yeah. Walter. Was it Walter Myers?
Oh.
I think it's Walter Myers. But it's just they look down on the animators as just being a bunch of weirdos, and even in The Simpsons, they make fun of the animators. Like, they have ice cream. Well, can they be pies? Pies are easier to draw. Well, look at the trajectory too. Warner Brothers went from movies into doing cartoons, whereas Disney was doing cartoons, and then in the 1950s they started making movies to the point where by the 60s, by the time the 60s rolled around, Walt wanted that Oscar bait. He wanted like that big, like My Fair Lady, and lo and behold, we get Mary Poppins. So. Just a thought.
Yep.
No, I mean it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. So, anybody else have anything else about Looney Tunes before we move on to the next one of our talking points here?
Roger Myers.
Roger Myers Jr. Look out, Itchy. He's Irish.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God.
And then his controversial short film, Nazi Supermen
are her superiors.
Oh, God.
Okay. Do we have anything else on Looney Tunes before we move on to something that won't nearly take an hour to talk about?
No, we're good.
All right. You guys good? Catherine, Mike?
Well, can we just mention a couple of shorts?
Yes.
Oh,
Go ahead. Mention a few shorts. Sorry.
Well, I mean, there was a Corny Concerto was 1943, which was like a direct parody of Fantasia. And they did a couple of. They actually used a couple of Johann Strauss concertos in that one.
Huh.
Yeah, the first one was I think the Vienna Woods, and the second one was the Blue Danube. And they they just had a little comedic short set to that, and the whole thing was kind of orchestrated by Elmer Fudd on a podium in front of an orchestra, like the beginning of Fantasia.
Greetings, music lovers. First, we will hear a waltz written by Johann Strauss. And as we hear the rhythmic strains of the haunting refrain, listen to the whip-wing rhythm of the woodwinds as it rolls around and around, and it comes out here.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Cool. And then, of course, the always classic Duck Amuck.
Yep.
where Daffy's just being terrorized by the animator.
Daffy Duck, he had a farm, E-I-A-I-O. And on this farm he had an igloo, E-I-E-I-O. Would it be too much to ask if we could make up our minds?
Oh yeah.
Yep. That is part of the plot of my of the Game Boy game I was talking about. Like there is one sequence where you actually draw body parts on Daffy and then drew on him.
And again, that's part of that fourth wall breaking that the Looney Tunes did so well. You know, yeah, they were actors doing a part, but they're also animated. So if something went wrong, the eraser from the heavens would just kind of like come down and start rubbing them out. Any others?
I got to mention my favorite, Fallen Hair.
Okay.
That's the one where the Mike was started to talk about earlier that had the gremlin.
Hey, I bet that was a... Say, do you think that... Hey, could that have been a... gremlin? It ain't
Oh yes,
yeah, the little gremlin, and you know, it was obvious. You know, it was released during World War II, so very patriotic and stuff like that.
Apparently, Joe has thoughts.
Apparently,
about something completely different.
Oh, okay.
He's in another room watching I don't know what, and
well, he's not watching Looney Tunes. He's not watching the scene that just broke me.
Nope.
But the reason that Fallen Hair is one of my favorite Looney Tunes shorts is because this is one where Bugs really gets his comeuppance.
Oh yeah,
that's he's the straight guy. He's the straight man in this, and the Gremlin's the one that's making his life hell.
Yeah, the Gremlin is unlike most shorts. The Gremlins here is 2 or 3 steps ahead of Bugs the entire time.
Exactly.
Katherine, do you have any short that stands out to you? I've kind of mentioned mine, so I kind of feel like I don't have much more to add right now. But
no, I think we've covered them. It's like Duck Amuck and What's Opera Doc, and I definitely agree on the whole point of like I really thought What's Opera Doc was longer than it is. I thought it was a 15-minute, but no, it's
they really short. It's like
they really cut to the quick. It was like I was saying. It's like the things were as long as they needed to be. They didn't drag the joke out over to make it longer. They're like, okay, we've told the joke, we're done. That's what makes it funny.
Mike, do you have any others?
Well, I could list dozens of them, but I'm not going to. Yet.
I'm sure. They are available on HBO Max, though. So if you subscribe to HBO Max, it's not just for the Snyder Cut anymore.
The 4-hour-long Snyder Cut.
Exactly.
What? Why would you sign up for HBO Max for that when you have John Oliver and a whole lot of other stuff?
Well, we
binged Watchmen in 2 days.
There's also 2, which is brilliant, by the way. There were also 2 amazing seasons of Harley Quinn, the animated series on HBO Max. So it's definitely worth checking out.
I've actually only got one more episode left to go.
Really?
Yeah.
Of Harley Quinn?
Yeah.
I'm very interested in talking to you about the whole series after we're done.
Okay.
I really loved it. So anyway,
when talking about cartoons as beloved as Looney Tunes, we ended up going a little long. So we decided it would make sense to split this episode in 2. Be sure and come back next week when we talk about the TV series that Looney Tunes inspired, Tiny Toons and Animaniacs. So until then, go forth, be nerdful, and be loony.